For Christmas dinner 2019, I've got this 18.7 pound beef rib, whole bone in. That's a prime rib. It looks good. My plans are to first sear the prime rib and then smoke it in the smoker till it reaches a temp of about 125 because we want it to be medium rare to rare. And this is my first prep. In addition, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the bones attached at this end, but I'm going to cut it away from the meat on the on this side, thereby making it easier when I get ready to serve it tomorrow, that this prime rib, I'll be able to take it off the bone, cook these beef ribs separately to doneness, while I leave the actual prime rib medium rare to rare. Let's do this. I'm going to first remove the vacuum seal. And once you cut into that vacuum seal, you are pretty much committed to the process of getting this baby processed and trimmed and ready for cooking. I like to just keep this just to keep track year to year of what I bought. I'll put that to the side. Take the paper towels and wipe off some of that red. And try to be very careful about taking it out of the bag. I don't want to spill the liquid that's in there all over everything. And I'm going to take this prime rib and move it over here to my cutting board. Try that. Okay. First thing I'm going to have to determine is which steak I'm going to remove, and it's probably going to be on this side because that one is sort of This is the steak that I'm removing. There's no bone attached to that part. And I've cut off that one edge to make it more even. Let's see if that'll fit. Yeah, it'll fit now in my full pan. So I'll put this one to the side. And we'll look over here and see if there's something we want to remove. Now there's a lot of fat here in that fat cap. And I think I'm going to trim some of that off. Not all, it just looks like about a ½ inch. I know there are some people who like to nibble on some of that fat part when it gets charred, so I'm going to actually leave it. I've done a lot of trimming of this prime rib, and I've gotten rid of a lot of that excess sinew or silver skin and a lot of the fat around it. What I did do is I did separate partially the prime rib from the bone area, and this is the section that would have been the top bone or the bone end. And I decided to do something that is a little different. I don't know if this will work, but there's a lot of meat that was in this part, and I don't want to waste it. So what I decided to do is I'm going to sort of tuck it under and try to create a more rounded look on this prime rib. Then I'm going to cut little slits here in the bones of the rib section and butcher twine it around so that I could try to hold these ribs more rounded. So that you can see what I did, I just cut down the rib section there. Okay. And now I'm going to actually try to season the inside part of here that's going to be covered. And that's primarily the ribs. I'm just going to go with some salt down there for now. And tuck that back under. And I've got the butcher twine that I'm going to take through these slits. Try to round this out. And it's just a basic knot. No specific type of knot. No butcher's knot, anything. Just tie it and knot it off. And I'll go through and do that with each one of these sections. Try to get kind of tight so that I can keep that rounded out. I now have it all tied off, and I'm going to salt it all around, wrap it, put it back in the refrigerator overnight, and tomorrow we'll go to the next step, which would be to cook it. So let's just take a generous amount of salt, big piece of meat. It can take it, it can handle it. Forget to do the top part or the ends. Over. We'll also generously do this section. Okay. And that equates to a sort of a dry brine. Okay. Prime rib, salted, wrapped up. I'm going to take it into the refrigerator, and we'll see this baby again tomorrow. My prime rib roast was salted yesterday, and I left it in the refrigerator overnight. And what salting also does for it, it actually brightens the color of it, so it's a much more red than previously. The herbs that I'm going to put on this prime rib is sort of like a parsley, sage, rosemary, thyme, black pepper, and a little bit more salt. Not a lot of salt because we did salt it already. I'm going to start first by doing it on the back side. And I'll just take it and just sprinkle it over. This blend is a lot of nice savory flavors to it. And even though the bones, the herbs won't go through the bones with that membrane, keep in mind that the juices that are coming off of this are going to go into the pan, so it's actually going to have a multiple purpose of also helping to season those juices for the au jus. And we're going to get this in the cooker to go on so it'll be ready by the time dinner is served. With my prime rib seasoned, I put it in a full pan, and you can't see from here, but underneath the prime rib is a bed of carrots and some onions. I'm going to put this in the cooker. I'm going to start it at, say, like about 300 degrees, and we'll see where we get in a couple hours. Keep in mind that when you're cooking prime rib, or any type of meat for that matter, that the shape that you put it in the pan is the shape that it's going to cook. So you have to make sure that it's even, and I try to get it where it's more rounded, and we should be good to go.
And I have it at a steak too. Very nice.
Prime rib currently at 126. I took it out at 124-ish. Carryover's got it to 126.
I don't know until I know. I'm generally pretty good.
What's the name of this again? Korea.
He said it's a little bit good work. You should be in the best condition you know how to do it.
You would take a picture of it.
And now
It's a video.
if I do it, I want to go someplace where I've never been. Like
Like those rivers. They're pretty. They're real different. They're definitely hopefully